yes, a personal connection is important. Like, a manager ideally likes your music, but most managers, they'll need to see that you are connecting with more than just them. Like, they'll need to see that you are writing music that is connecting with people.
I met Ra shortly after he started his artist project Jet Vesper, and I've seen him grow from basically zero to about 3 million streams across platforms, a steadily growing fan base, and he's playing festivals all over the world with his band. All of this growth happened in less than 3 years, and the best part about this is that his project is completely DIY and independent. He's one of the biggest reasons I've been able to advance with my own artist project, Sonj Marina, even though I never thought this world could be accessible to me. So I'm excited to share this conversation with you guys, where I picked his brain about how he's built Jet Vesper. Hello.
Hello.
I witnessed you grow from pretty much when you started Jet Vesper up until now, and it's been incredible. You do so much yourself, or you do all of it yourself, and
Yeah.
you don't look like you do it yourself. And I find that so admirable. So
That's
I'm
an interesting
excited.
observation. Yeah. Okay.
Excited
Cool.
to talk to you about how you got to build Jet Vesper. Is it okay for you if we first set up the context a little bit for the people who don't know you in terms of where you came from?
Yeah, I was signed to. So my previous band was signed to Universal, a imprint of Universal called Mercury Records in the UK, and then at the same time I was signed to Sony Publishing, and then later on that contract moved. Well, then we became independent, and then later on we were signed to Warner Brothers. So yeah, I've also had contracts with Sony Music as well. So a bunch of
Oh.
all of the majors.
So when that deal was dropped, it was dropped during the pandemic, right?
Uh, well, the band kind of disintegrated during the pandemic. We were still signed to Warner Brothers at that point, but the initial Universal contract that disintegrated when our A&R guy got fired from Universal. So the director of A&R just let all of his artists go, basically. So we were independent for a while there, and then yeah, got picked up by Warner Brothers.
Okay. So when that disintegrated, where were you at, and how did you get to the decision to move on with Jet Vesper?
Well, so yeah, that previous band. We'd been playing together for 10 years, I think, and I enjoyed that time. It was a collaborative. It was a partnership with one other guy, and we had we'd grown together as musicians, um, and we just felt like there's a lot of things going on. It is kind of like a marriage when you're in a band. Um, but effectively, yeah, we realized we weren't in it. Well, I can only speak for myself. I realized I was only in it just um, to live as a musician, because we're doing lots of tours and living from that. Um, but creatively, it was kind of a bit dead for me, I think, because we'd been just the nature of it is you're working together for 10 years, and you kind of constrain yourself by what your audience expects of you, I think. And also with when there's two minds working on something, it's you're always compromising. So I really wanted to go back to the music that I grew up with. Well, maybe the music that I fell in love with. I think like the music that I grew up with was not necessarily the music that I really fell in love with music kind of in my early 20s, and I'd say that music was stuff like Prince, Sly and the Family Stone, Curtis Mayfield. And so I wanted to create something in that world, or continue the conversation that those artists had. so yeah, so that project disintegrated. I took that opportunity to create something new, Jet Vesper, and yeah, be the sole creator, I guess, of that band.
Did you have any specific goals with Jet Vesper when you started?
Uh, when I started, no, I think I just wanted to write as much as possible. To Yeah, I don't know if I had any goals. I just wanted to enjoy music again because it'd been a long time since I'd kind of really uh, done music for myself. So yeah, my goals were just to enjoy creating music, and at that point, I guess in the back of my mind, I thought, yeah, I'll play this live someday. But I knew, um, because I'd done this before, I knew that it takes quite a long time. It's starting a new project. It's not like I'm, building on a project that, because it was very different. Jet Vesper is very different from my other band. Um, I knew like I wouldn't have an audience from that other band that was going to continue on. It was a completely fresh start. So
Right.
I just know that that takes time. I mean, people can get lucky, but it's really rare, very rare. So my goals were just to enjoy writing and creating music for myself.
That's I really like that. It's kind of like returning to yourself in a way.
Yeah, I think I I think about it. I think about it when I think I heard Rick Rubin say, you've got to think about when artists think about themselves, they're actually serving they're actually serving the audience better. And I do. I spent a long time kind of arguing with that in my head, but I think there is some truth to it, and I think some people need to hear that, and I think I needed to hear that, um, and because I had spent a long time uh, serving an imaginary person or imaginary group of people in my head, and I think it does kind of destroy your creativity if you're doing, because you're limiting yourself. Um, yeah, you're kind of becoming a people pleaser, really. So I think I'm not saying that's great advice. I really don't recommend that advice for uh, certainly not like new artists starting out. I think new artists need to actually think about other people more. But if you've been doing it for a while and you've gone through that, you've gone through the phase of um, serving other people, I think then at that moment, that's a good time to start just being a bit more internal with your thought process about the music you create.
Interesting. It's interesting because I feel like my experience so far, I'm nowhere near where you are, but my experience so far has been like I kind of had to get rid of all my shit and just like create. And now I feel like I'm thinking more about the outside world because what I made is kind of rippling out and is having an effect or starting to have an effect now.
Hmm.
So it's interesting. It's kind of the opposite.
But I think you might come back to it. Like I think, after some time, I think now that you're starting to think, you've kind of built um, some confidence in yourself, so you can now allow yourself to think about other people, because it takes strength to think about other
Right.
people's what other people think about you. It takes like courage to do that, and so you might go through a time, you may not, I don't know, where that also thinking about other people becomes too much, and then you need to kind of focus on yourself again. But yeah, it's all good.
It's an interesting dance.
Hmm.
So with Jet Vesper, you released your first LP in 2022.
Hmm.
And it already, from what I saw back then, that's around the time I got to know you. I think I got to know you in 2023. You already looked so put together, like as if it was all a cohesive concept
Hmm.
and the direction was clear. So I'm curious about how you went about that with just the whole concept.
Um, well, I think there's a lot of experimentation. I think the thing is, yes, like I agree with you, like it does look cohesive, but it's not, it's messy. Like it's messy internally. Um, I'm very messy and I write, like to write those 11 songs, I had written 30 songs to get to 11 with an 11 that made sense, that felt like it came from the same person. And also and visually, like it took time to find, to kind of mash all my tastes together in a way that made sense. So yeah, I'm glad it looks like that on the outside. It didn't feel like that. And I think I think part of your job as an artist is to curate yourself. Like, yes, that I do understand the point of view of, just be raw and let everything out there about you. I think that's fine. That's like art. Some artists can do that and be fine. It's just not my personal approach. I don't want to release everything that I write, because I think you need time. Well, I personally need time to decide if I like it or not, or if it is something that I want to represent me. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of experimentation, and the audio, like the music affects the visuals really. So it took a lot of time to put all those songs together, and then that really, I'm definitely a music first person. So the music had to be solid first, and then I was experimenting with like how that feels, visually, and I do think visuals are important. I do think who you are, how you show up is important. I was talking to someone the other day about it feeling like if you're a chef, you know that when you present a plate to someone, that they're also eating with their eyes, even though the focus is obviously on how it tastes. The first thing that people notice is going to be how it looks. That's not always the case with music. Some people will like be randomly listening to music, but a lot of time we're experiencing the visuals at the same time as we're experiencing the music. So I do think it's important. It's part of the art.
And can you describe how you let your music feed into the visual? Like, how was that connected?
Well, I took a lot of inspiration from my heroes. We're talking mostly soul music or funk music from the 70s. I definitely wanted to have that as part of my world, but also play that against what is actually going on in the world now. So it was just a process of combining, like looking at a lot of cover art, looking at watching videos of artists from those eras, and and deciding and kind of curating vibes from there, and seeing how that fits, how that kind of plays out in my personality, as well as what's going on in the world now. And I do think it's important to reflect the times, or the environment at least, that we live in. So hey, I really dislike art that is 100% derivative of something from some time ago. But I also appreciate that, like, what works for most of us when listening to music is that we do want something that feels a little bit familiar, like that. So that's what I wanted to create, something that feels a bit familiar, but also that feels it feels fresh and now. So that was really my goal there.
I think you're so good at that. And that's one of the reasons why I admire you. And can you tell me a little bit about your songwriting process? How do you approach creating new material?
Well, it's evolved. Like it's evolved over time. I used to write. So the standard way of writing for me, 10 years ago, was write some chords, write a melody, write some lyrics, and really not think about anything more than that. I would have nothing in my mind, just write my experience, But more recently, I'm writing lyrics first, like nearly always. So lyrics first, and then I've stopped thinking about music in terms of chords, because I realized that a lot of the music that I love doesn't function that way. It's not chords. It's other melodies. So I try and think about everything in terms of melody now. So a bass line is a melody. A keyboard part is a melody. Sure, there might be multiple things happening. There might be multiple melodies happening at the same time, and some people might call that a chord. I think it's because when you I studied music. I studied jazz music for years. For 4 years, I did a degree in jazz, and you get conditioned. There's this thing called the real book in jazz, which is a big, fat book of, I think, 1,000 jazz standards. And the way it's structured is you have the melody written in stave, and then you have, above that, you have the chords that are played. And so you start to, if that gets drilled into you, that's what music is, it's chords and melody, you start to think about it like that. You start to think, music is just chords and melody. That's a little bit dangerous, I think. I wish that I had realized how much more detail there is to, let's just call it a harmonic arrangement. Tame Impala does this amazingly. There's some songs that are, they're just chords, but most of his songs are melodies, so harmonic melodies, and then another vocal melody over the top of that. So you have two, and the beauty about it is that you have, if you craft it well enough, you have two things happening, two melodies happening at the same time, and in an ideal world, they're well, from a classical point of view, it would be called counterpoint. A counterpoint has a very strict set of rules, which I don't love. But the main thing that I can take away from counterpoint, I guess, is if you have two melodies converging, if one's more active, one has to be less active. So that's really my the thing I keep in mind when I'm writing now is that it has to. I think Sly Stone thinks about it like shoelaces. So he's thinking, okay, when this lace goes here under there, I put this one over there, and this one. So it's like a knitting, right? So that's I'm trying to keep Sly's words in my mind when I'm writing these days.
I love that. Yeah. I call it filling in the gaps.
Yeah, exactly.
Building a puzzle or something. Do you use your own exercises? Can I ask that?
Yeah. Not all the time. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's my go-to thing. If I'm in a writing phase, which I'm just starting again right now, I'll definitely make sure that I'm showing up every day, not waiting for inspiration. So in that mode, sometimes I'm sometimes I have an idea in my mind, like I already know what it's going to be, because I've had a break from writing. I have kind of built up all of these ideas that are just floating around in my head, and I kind of just need to get them out. So those ones, yeah, I'm not using my method. Well, I'm using my methods. I guess I'm just not using the actual exercises. But there are days where I'm like, I don't feel like writing. Even though I might have ideas, I'm like, I don't feel like writing that. That song needs a different energy to, like, I don't have the energy to write that, high or low, whatever. So at that point, I'll just choose one of the exercises and write a song.
Cool. So, okay, so you released a bunch of songs first, and then you put together a band.
Yeah.
And how was that? How did you find the people?
Word of mouth, really. Or I mean, like I go to a bunch of gigs. I think going to live music is super important. I go to a bunch of gigs and I see players, and I meet up with them and talk, and it's really, like, right now I'm living in Madrid, and it's a big city, but it's still the number of musicians that are into playing the kind of music that I love, it's quite small. Like, it's a quite small group of people, so everyone knows each other. So, as like, the drummer in my old band, he's still a really good friend, and I originally asked him to be my drummer, and he's like, no, I can't do those days. Like, he had a bunch of, he plays with massive Spanish artists, and and then he recommended another drummer, which is Joe, and Joe's just an amazing guy, amazing human, amazing artist. And then so that's how I found Joe, through my old drummer. Maite, the keyboard player, I've known her. We've worked together on various things. She's also, like, everyone knows each other. But she was like an obvious choice for me because she's really. I mean, I think the ideal band is a group of people that does play in your style, like in the style of Jet Vesper, but can also push you, like Maite is, the way she thinks about harmony really pushes my knowledge. So she's obviously a better keyboard player than I am. I do a lot of my keyboard playing, either at a very low tempo and then speed it up, or I'm or I'm just drawing it in. So I'm a guitarist, right? I'm not a keyboard player. So
Okay.
she's definitely a better keyboard player than I am, and so that's always a joy to be with people that are better than you. And then who else? Then Simbi, she's from Barcelona. Found her through, I think, a photographer friend of mine, who knew I was looking for a bass player and recommended her, and she's just full of energy. She's amazing. Nina, I met through Gemma's program, through whatever it was called, Pro Vocal Artist. So
Where we met.
yeah, well, we met, yeah, exactly. And she just happened to be in Madrid, so that made it super easy.
Plus, she
And
had a gorgeous
and
voice.
she's got an amazing voice, yeah. Yeah,
That's
so that's it.
amazing. Yeah, I'm so curious about the whole how to put together a band thing, because that's where my mind's at the moment.
Right. Do you have but you're starting to kind of know your local area, right?
Yeah, a little bit. But so then, I think the thing I get stuck with is I'm not experienced. I've never played with a band. Of course, you already had experience, so was it quite easy for you to just ask people and would you then immediately pay them or like have a fund for putting together the band, or how do you even get started like that?
Right. Yeah. So you have two main. I mean, you can slice it any way you like. But the two main structures are you're either forming a band where everyone has ownership of it. I'm not saying that everyone needs to contribute equally, but the band, if you're not going to pay band members to the start, I think it's ethical that you cut them in on a percentage of whatever the project is, because they're giving their time for free, you know. So it becomes more of a collaboration in that sense. That if you're in that situation where the gigs that you're getting do not afford you to pay the members of the band,
Yeah.
that's it can be difficult. Like, it can also be joyous. Like, it can be joyous to have, you know, to meet up with a group that effectively will become your friends. It can be joyous, but it also is like, it's challenging. It's challenging from a relationship point of view. You know, the boundaries are always moving. And you will, you know, if it's your project, you will lose some of the control that you might like, depending on your personality. Like, some people, they don't want to be the musical directors of their own band. They just want to be in a band, and that's okay too.
Right.
Right. So that's one option, which is basically you're creating a band and you're cutting them in on any kind of profit that you will earn. Yeah, either from records or from, you know, sync, or from obviously from live, but you need to compensate them for the fact that they're putting in energy to the project. The other way, which is what I do, which is effectively treat those musicians as session musicians. So I'm paying them because the gigs I get pay enough that I can afford to pay them, you know, a session fee. I've done things in the past where it's been, I'm not paying you money, but I'm paying you in, for example, production. So I will produce like some songs for you if you come and play these gigs for me, that kind of thing, like a kind of a trading thing.
Yeah.
So that's another, you know, if you don't have cash, but you do have something that someone else, like another artist, another musician will want, then that's something that you can do as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd say those are the two main options.
Super interesting for me at the moment because I'm just entering the live realm in general.
Yeah, and look, the everything is negotiable. I would just recommend asking, like, what would they like. You can tell them the situation. Like, tell them, oh, okay, I have these gigs and it's paying me, I don't know, 500 euros, but it's going to cost us whatever to do this, blah blah blah. You know, what fee can I give you, and just, you know,
Right.
make it just a super open, make sure everything is open conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for that. But so you play live a lot now, and you're even going to Mexico. I can't believe you're going there.
Yeah, no, playing a lot. I think that Montreux gig that you came to is probably, that's the first time I've thought, actually, maybe live, maybe live is as fun as as writing songs like in my studio. Because before, I was always of the opinion of, well, live is okay, like it's a good, it's a good way to make money. But I just prefer, like, I just always prefer being in the studio and writing music, because that's the easy, safe place to be in. And
Do you get
sorry.
nervous? Do you get nervous for gigs?
Um, I always used to say no to that question because I don't feel nervous. Like it doesn't compute in my mind that I'm nervous. But there has been occasions where I've realized my body is reacting, and often I will get really sleepy before a gig. And I think that is my body's reaction to nerves. Is to kind of prepare or whatever. I don't know. But so I would say, I don't think I've ever got stage fright. I'm just not built like that. But yeah, I probably have some anxiety there that I don't acknowledge, and it probably comes out in that falling asleep thing.
Narcolepsy.
Narcolepsy, yeah, a little bit, yeah. And so yeah, for a while there, I was like, I would drink Red Bulls just before going on stage, just so I could, like, my brain could wake up,
Wow,
But I wouldn't recommend that, because I know a drummer that used to drink 5 Red Bulls before a gig.
Oh my God.
And there's one gig where he basically had a heart attack, like a mini heart attack.
Oh my God.
And he had to go to hospital, and the doctor said, you can never drink Red Bull again.
That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because he'd basically stressed his heart so much with that amount of stimulants that yeah, it's crazy. Anyway,
I'd probably, like, that will happen to me without Red Bull.
yeah.
Okay, but how did you get all those gigs? Like, how do you get, yeah,
Okay.
how do you get them?
How do you get gigs? Right, so I have an agent. I have a live agent. They're in America. So I guess really the question is, how do you get an agent? And how do you get an agent? Well, how I got an agent was that I had a manager that got an agent. So then I guess the question is, how do you get a manager? And I got my manager by, well, it's interesting. I got my manager from writing music that people connected with. Yes, a personal connection is important. Like, a manager ideally likes your music. But most managers, they'll need to see that you are connecting with more than just them. Like, they'll need to see that you are writing music that is connecting with people. So I guess the answer to how do you get gigs is that you write music that connects with people. Also, but I would caveat that with, my current manager she was interested because of the live performance of my previous band. So this is the same manager from my previous band. Because we had a live show that was engaging, and was actually, our live show was bigger than the band, if that makes sense. We were getting booked for festivals, like Coachella and big festivals that were bigger than really our reach was. We did okay, but the reason we got booked is because we had a good live show. Like, we had a remarkable live show, and I mean remarkable in the sense that people would remark about it. Like, people would say, "Oh, have you seen this band? They blah 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 blah, so good, blah blah blah." That is, like, that's a remark. So yes, that's how you get a manager. But and Do I think getting a manager is necessary? No, I don't think you need to have a manager. It certainly helps. It depends on kind of what stage of your career you're at. I wouldn't say it's something to focus on. In fact, I think focusing any industry kind of focus is bad. You need to be focusing on your audience or yourself. Like focus on your audience or yourself. Don't worry about industry. The industry will find you, or the industry may not find you. You might need to do some work to find people, but if you don't have a connection with an audience, if you don't have any kind of following, finding someone in the industry that's worthwhile working with is going to be almost impossible. Like it's just a pointless exercise because you're not going to find anyone. Very unlikely that you'll find anyone. So yeah, just focus on the music and connecting with an audience.
That's super interesting. But so do you feel like you had an advantage because your manager is the same one that you had with the previous band?
Yeah.
And you kind of continued working.
Yeah, I think so. If I had, if I didn't have that manager, if I had to start fresh, I probably wouldn't have worried about a manager until. I mean, the reality is she had nothing to do, like other than kind of be my guide. Like that's part of being a manager, is being someone to contain you, to give you a perspective about what's working and obviously take care of all the business side. But yeah, a big part of it is kind of containing, mentoring you. So from that point of view, she didn't have a lot, she had to contain me and be my mentor. That's for sure in the early days. But from a business point of view, there's not a great deal she could do because, as a new artist, a new project, I had there's no leverage, like there's nothing she could, even with the most massive, all of the context in the world, there's nothing you can do if you don't have an audience connection. So there's not, in the early days, there wasn't much for her to do. But yeah, now there's more, she's definitely involved in getting the live stuff together and working with the agents and blah, blah, blah. But yes, I've forgotten your original question. I don't know if I've answered that.
If you had an advantage because of that relationship that was already established. But I
Right.
think it's super interesting what you say about that as an artist, you have to build that connection with the audience first, and especially nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So how did you go about that?
I know it's not sexy, but the harsh truth is you just need to write songs you need to record songs that connect with people. Someone else can write them for you, it doesn't matter. But you need to put music out that is good, that is useful, that fulfills a need in someone. And that's it. Like, it's not difficult. Just need to do that over and over again. I don't subscribe to the it's all about marketing thing. I think that's just marketers talking.
Yeah, because they want to sell you their marketing.
Yeah, they want to sell you their marketing courses, or they want you to, they want to get a cut of the ad spend you do on Facebook
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's not a place for marketing. Like it, obviously, if you just create in a vacuum and that's it. But but the best marketing you can do is do your own organic content, create content, put it on all the social medias. Although I'm not a fan of the term social media, because I don't think we should call it social media, because there's not much social about it. It's basically just a TV. Like TikTok is just mini TV. Yeah, there's people commenting on it. I guess that's an interaction. Interaction. I don't know. I just don't feel like the social is the right term for it.
Yeah,
But
it's really not.
yeah, I think you should think about that as like free TV exposure. You know, if you can create your own, first of all, don't think about it like ads. Think about it like you're create content that is, or create art even. Don't think about it like content. Create art, create visual art that is valuable. Like if you do that, you know, there's no amount of ads that is going to help you there. If you don't have that right, there's no point working ads, because you're just going to pay for someone to not be interested.
Yeah. That's the worst thing. Okay, so write songs that connect, create a remarkable live show. That's basically what you need to focus on. Is that it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that be remarkable, you can take that to every part of your artist career. If you're not remarkable, like if you're okay, let's just dial it back a bit. So my guitar teacher at jazz school once told me, never be background. Like never be background. And that stuck with me for a long time, because he was saying, who was he talking about? I think it was Ornette Coleman. And he was like, he put the record on, and we were listening to it at full volume, and it was like, great, this is amazing. And then he turned it down a bit and started talking over it. And the conversation was basically, you can't turn this music down. Like you have to actually turn it off, because if you turn it down, it's still super fucking interesting. Like it's asking for attention, right? And so that's what you want to be. You want to be, even at low volumes, you want to be asking for people's attention. So having said that, I think that's great advice for people that who have already put a lot of energy and time into mastering their skills. But it's fine for the first whatever year of your life, if you do year of your artistic life, if you learn your skills in a place where you're the background. Like if I did that for 2 years as a jazz singer. In fact, I played hundreds of weddings, and your job there is to be background. Your job there is to be mood, and to be background. So I wouldn't recommend doing too much of it. I think that can just kill your soul. But you can use that opportunity to learn your craft, because there's nothing like, yes, practice is absolutely important. Spend as much time practicing as you can. But there's nothing quite like the things you learn playing live. Playing live is worth many more hours of practice. You just learn a lot of things when you're playing live. So if you can get into a situation where, sure, you have to be background, like you're playing in a cafe or whatever, that's fine. Like don't stress that, oh, I'm just playing in the background, no one's listening. Don't stress that, because you use that time to think about, to learn your craft, like to get all the muscle memory if you're playing an instrument, or even your vocals, get all that down, get your pitch like as good as it can be. Phrasing, use that time to learn, but just keep in the back of your mind that this is not the end goal. The end goal is not to be background. You don't want to be background. You want to be making music that that is mandatory to have attention. So yeah, but don't sweat it too much.
So, how do you know? Okay, let me ask it a different way. When you were creating your show with Monarchy, were you aware that it was remarkable?
Um, well, that's what we're, like I think, well, you don't have to plan everything. Like part of creating Jet Vesper was to be more in a situation where we could do more improvisation. And I think to me, that's a reason to be playing music live is that it's exciting for me if there's an element of improvisation, an element of things, well, let's just play this by ear. But with that, I do think it's important to have some elements of your show, and let's call it a show. It's not, people are there watching you. Your big percentage of our brain is used to with the visual cortex, right? So people are there spending all of their brain energy, most of it, on watching you. So yes, I do recommend like planning out pieces of your show. What are you gonna say? What do you want people to feel at this moment? How do you get them to feel that? So start. I wouldn't recommend starting with like gimmicks. Like don't think things like, oh, I can jump into the crowd at this moment. Like why? Like don't think about it like that. Think about what you want people to feel first, and then think about what things you can do to make them feel that way. But also you have to hold that very lightly, because we're in a communication. When you're playing live, you're in communication with the audience. So you don't want to be ignoring them. Like it's like if you had a conversation with someone and you just said exactly what you planned to say, regardless of what they were saying, like that.
Right.
That's a psychopathic thing to do. So and the same way with an audience. Yes, you're there. They are there to see you. So you're the protagonist in that situation. You're there to entertain them. But it is partly conversational. So if they're feeling something that is like grating against what you're doing, it's just gonna fall flat. It doesn't actually create energy. It just falls flat if you do that. So yeah, I would recommend building some ideas. You don't have to plan out the whole of your set, but build some ideas about things that could happen, and then see if they feel right in the moment. I would say if you're new to doing it, plan out a lot of it. Like plan out a lot, and be and be a little bit psychopathic. Like don't worry too much about what the audience is thinking, because you're there to do a show, and until you have more experience, you can't. It's difficult to play with it when you don't understand how an audience is feeling, or you don't understand what you can do to change the way an audience feels. I guess that's what I'm getting at. So yes, plan some things. You can study. There's loads of amazing performances online. You can go and watch.
Yeah, is that something you've done for Jet Vesper?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I guess the way I'm describing it sounds like it's this kind of calculated thing, or contrived. The way I do it is more, I'm looking at a performance. Like I'll go and watch a performance of someone, like either live or like on online, whatever. Live is better. live is better because you get the full picture of the story. Whereas, if you're watching a video performance, you can't quite feel how the audience is reacting to what's going on. But yeah, study that. That's what study what makes an audience react positively or negatively. Like, it doesn't have to be, our reaction is what you're going for. Just not ambivalence is the anti-hero in this sense. You definitely don't want ambivalence is like the devil. That's the true evil of music. So it's fine if people throw eggs at you or whatever. It's fine.
Welcome.
I've never had that. I'm trying to think if I've had a really bad experience. Don't think I've had eggs, but I have had uncomfortable experiences where I didn't feel. It was definitely clear that what I was doing was not what was expected, or was not.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you play enough rooms, you will find you'll find one or two of those.
I've been so scared of performing live, and now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, enough playing at home. I have to go out there. So I'm curious to see how that evolves. And it's been so inspiring to see you perform live. And it's just kind of strengthened my appetite for it.
Cool. What's inspiring about it? I don't mean I don't want you to compliment me. I'm not looking for compliments. I'm just curious as to where is the inspiration happening?
It's the connection with the audience and just the energy, the love you generate. Because really, so the first time I saw you play live when we were in Madrid at the songwriting camp, it was the first time I had seen any band play live. This sounds crazy because I'm all about music.
That is crazy. Wow.
But I just haven't had a lot of live experiences. I'm a real hermit, but it really kind of changed my state in a way. And it was such a beautiful experience. And then in Montreux, just the way you animated people, I really loved it. And the way you interacted with everyone. You did that in Madrid too. But it's just, I think that connection part, that really, really gets me excited. Also when I watch Jacob Collier, who I also got to see live.
Okay, amazing.
But I think that's the thing technology can't give you. And especially during AI times, I just feel like...
Preach. Yeah, no, exactly. I feel exactly the same. AI is coming for us. But it's going to be a long, long time before AI can do a live show that creates, that creates love in the room, I can't... I think that's what we've got that's special.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. You're inspired, but you should see more gigs. Go out and see some.
I started. So I also saw Coldplay.
Oh, yeah.
And I've made it a point now to actually go see people play live. But I only started last year.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Coldplay are amazing band. But how did you feel about because that would have been in a very big venue, right? How close were you to the stage?
I did not see much.
Yeah.
We were standing probably 10 meters from the stage, so pretty far in the front. And I'm pretty short, and there were loads of tall people around me, and I had to look up to the screen, and then the sound wasn't pleasant because we were in an arena.
Yeah.
So I way prefer more intimate settings.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I was expecting you to say. And because it's a different thing. I don't think there's a great deal of you can learn um, from stadium gigs as an artist, because a lot of what people are paying for to go and see those bands is one that in my opinion, I don't know the minds of everyone that goes to see shows, but in my opinion, they're going as part of a personal identity marker. So they're saying, I affiliate, they can post on social or whatever, I affiliate myself with this band, this is part of my identity. So it's kind of like it's an identity signaling thing. Plus, they get to experience, they can feel like a life experience, like, oh, they were in the same room, I was in the same room as Coldplay. You shared the same time and space with these idols of yours, and that's a big moment. But the actual musical, and you can also experience, you can kind of experience good production, meaning like good stage production. Well, the last big gig I went to see that I had a kind of meh experience was Beyonce, and obviously Beyonce is an incredible performer, but seeing her from, I don't know, 200 meters away, I just spent my time watching the screens.
Right.
So
yeah.
Like, why was I there? Like, what's the point? I got almost nothing out of it. I would have preferred to have seen it at home,
Yeah.
So yeah, try and go to, I think, like 3,000 capacity venues. Those are good. Up to about 3,000. More than 5,000, it starts to become a little bit. You're distancing yourself from music. You're from the performance, because you can't actually. Like the people on stage can't see you anyway. Like, they can't see past the first 5 rows or whatever. So all they can do is kind of hear what's going on, and they can't see what's going on. So it's not like there's a big conversation going on. So yeah, if you can get to like 2,000, 3,000 venues, capacity venues, I think you'll learn a lot from that.
Yeah. I'm actually really interested in going to see some of the artists I met at the award show of the award I just won.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations again.
Thank you. It feels weird to say it. But I'm really interested in connecting with them more and seeing them play live, because that feels very close, and it feels like something could happen there, and like actual real human connection could happen in the area.
Yeah.
Which I feel like maybe because of the pandemic, it had died down a lot in many places, not just here. And it just needs to be watered again.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree. Yeah, I mean, live music did suffer a lot from the pandemic, and still suffers. Like, there's still, in Australia, they've had a lot of festivals cancelling and a lot of venues struggling, and I think it's worldwide really, but I noticed it a lot in Australia. So yes, if we can water it, and part of watering it, I think, is caring about our responsibility as artists is to care about the art, and to care about the performances, and actually give people a reason to come out to see you. So yeah, if you needed motivation, keeping music alive is a good one.
Yeah. Yep. Word. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me.
Cool. It's been lovely as always.
And for sharing so openly. I could have kept this conversation just between the two of us, but I think it's so useful for anyone who wants to build themselves as an artist. So thank you.
Cool. No worries. It's a pleasure.